I guess in a way, even saying this is a bit of a spoiler, but all I'm saying is that if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry, I can actually cover all of these weapons without spoiling any events in the film. What's up, Meta Nerds? In this video, I'm going to cover the surprisingly well-rounded and actually very interesting weapons of the Knights of Ren. To start off, some might critique the use of bladed and blunt weapons in a high-tech universe, but I actually have to defend their use in theory. Definitely could have been utilized better, but the idea of these being used by warriors in Star Wars does make sense. Vibroblades have been around forever, and the Mandalorian actually showed us how it's superior in certain roles. Blaster bolts weren't bringing down the security droids, but the blade with its ultra-fast sawing motion was able to slice through the armor plating. Though a high-tech universe, it also means that there's tons of personal shields, heavy armor, and tons of other obstacles that are best solved with a weapon like this. And as the Knights of Ren always fight together, they really do have a good distribution of long-range weapons, explosives, blasters, and melee weapons to take on any task. Also keep in mind that each of them are mildly force-sensitive. They got some better speed and focus, some light manipulation of objects, that kind of stuff. So if the Mandalorian's vibro knife could do this to armor-plated security droids, imagine the damage output of Trudgeon's vibro cleaver, Verkul's scythe, and Applek's Mandalorian executioner vibro axe. You can see the ultrasonic device located here, and all of these are forged with both Frick or Beskar filaments. This makes them nearly indestructible to both heavy blasters and even lightsabers. Everyone always points out that characters in-universe could be assisted by a lightsaber, even non-force sensitives if it was just backup. So the fact that we don't see this must point to it being more complicated than that. It's unclear if they had the force abilities to make their own, but they certainly could have found those made by other Jedi or Sith. There's a whole lot of relic collecting going on. But perhaps what you lose in maintenance, ease of repair, and even stealth when your weapon is a bright glow stick, all must have made these vibroblades more appealing. Or maybe even Kylo Ren banned it. Before Ben Solo became their leader, their previous leader was the only one amongst them with a lightsaber, so maybe that's just reserved for the leader. But again, with the Frick and Beskar, these weapons may have been able to slice straight through a lightsaber, or even cause it to malfunction, something we do see with Frick in Legends comics. But in addition to this, Verkul carried a heavy blaster pistol that was modified to fire fully automatic. Trudgeon just had a smaller backup vibro machete, and a rig that allowed him to carry the cleaver on his back. But Applek had a smoke canister attached to his waist, which he would use in concert with his force abilities to move quickly and silently, beheading his foes before they knew what hit him, more silently than a blaster or even a lightsaber. Now before I get into the big guns, I want to focus on Ushar. He has a vibro machete as well, and a bandolier of thermal detonators, but the main weapon is the Kinetite and concussion field generator powered war club. Much like power hammers that were popular during the Galactic Civil War era, it created a concussion field to deal out a shockwave of crushing energy. As a repulsor can reduce the gravitational effect of something, making it float as if it was weightless, the concussion generator does the opposite, and greatly increases the kinetic force of a war club as it comes smashing down on its target. Whether that target be heavily armored infantry, blast doors or buildings, or even the thick armor plating of ships and vehicles. But if that wasn't useful enough, they also found a way to channel the type of energy in the force power Kinetite. It is classified as a variation of force lightning, but instead of electrical energy, this long-existing Legends ability sends out what feels like solid projectiles. It's unclear what the range was on this force, but it was channeled through these veins on the head of the war club. You can imagine the concussion blow or his thermal detonators being able to blow open a hole in a ship, vehicle, or building, and then the club being inserted, with this Kinetite shockwave being unleashed to crush the bones and organs of everyone inside. So hopefully I'm starting to show how specialized and relatively practical these weapons are. And so with that, let's get into the ones that serve a more obvious role, starting with Cardo. He's the Knight's heavy infantry, with a customized arm cannon, and another one of those fully auto heavy blaster pistols. His coat is actually made from Riftia worms that can resist volcanic vents, and he has worked them into a flame-resistant coat. On a chest strap, he has these concussion grenades, but the main weapon is the arm cannon. The bottom barrel is a flamethrower, while the top barrel is a rapid-fire blaster rifle, which has the option of being loaded with armor-busting plasma bolt shells, something like how rifle grenades work. The range on these shells is over 200 meters, about 2 football fields, so while the other knights had the option of stealth and silent blade weapons, we have the war club wielder and the artilleryman for heavy armor. And last, but certainly not least, was Kuruk, the sniper. Primarily, he would stay in the rear, providing intelligence and strategic eliminations. The range is unclear, but it too was modded to greatly increase accuracy and distance, while all being assisted by his force powers as well. His cloak works in active stealth dampening technology, something we saw in the Clone Wars era Stealthwalker. But although his main role was a sniper, his rifle had variable fire modes as well, allowing him to jump into the action in full auto. There's also this side-mounted pump-action launch tube that could fire plasma bolt shells as well. These are smaller and seem to be implying that they were more for personnel, or maybe even worked like a shotgun round, like some real-world underslung pump-action attachments for rifles. It is said that the Knights of Ren's force sensitivity is strong enough that they would have made for excellent Inquisitors if they were around during the Imperial era. So imagine how efficient they could be with this wide variety of weapons. They are the First Order's top Special Forces strike team, not the frontline troops, so they surely were deadly efficient in carrying out Snoke's and Kylo's tasks. Something which is evident in the fact that terrifying myths about them were spread across the galaxy. So that's it for their weaponry. The only behind the scenes fact is that this all comes from the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary. And sadly, if you did see the movie, you know why I say that I can tell you all of this without a single spoiler. I guess shoutouts to the guidebook team, prop makers, and costume designers. If you want to connect with us on social media, find ways that you can help support our channel without it costing you a thing, or check out our Patreon. Be sure to check out the links in the description. Special shout out to our supporters over on Patreon. But most important of all, remember, no matter how high tech, bladed weapons will always have their place in Special Forces. And the Force will be with you, always.